Welcome to Fun English Daily. Get ready, everyone, because this story will take you on an exciting adventure. Let the story begin. The border between the United States and Mexico is very busy. Every day, thousands of trucks cross, bringing goods into the U.S. from Mexico. This shows a huge amount of trade. For example, in 2022, over 650,000 cargo trucks crossed one main bridge in El Paso, Texas. For the first time in over 20 years, Mexico has sent more goods to the U.S. than China. In 2023, the U.S. bought $475 billion of goods from Mexico. This was more than the goods bought from China, which were $427 billion. Mexican imports are still growing. This change in trade is very important. A main reason for this change is that Chinese companies are using Mexico to send their products to the U.S. They do this to avoid extra taxes called tariffs. The U.S. put these tariffs on goods from China starting in 2018, during the time of President Donald Trump. Experts say that China sees Mexico as a good way to reach the U.S. market. Jordan Duarte, who works for Redwood, Mexico, said that the U.S. market is why Chinese companies are moving to Mexico. Simon Cohen from Henco explained that companies bring materials to Mexico, make new product there, and then send them to the U.S. Shipping data also shows this. Peter Sand, an expert from Zeneta, a company that tracks shipping, said that more and more cargo containers have been coming from China to Mexico for 18 months in 2023. This traffic grew by 33%. In 2024, it grew by another 22% in the first 8 months. At the same time, fewer containers are going directly from China to the U.S. This means many Chinese goods are first going to Mexico before reaching the U.S. It shows that companies are planning big things, and the goods are not just for people in Mexico to a new trade route. The way goods move between countries is changing. For more than 2 decades, China was the main country sending goods to the United States. But in 2023, Mexico sent more goods to the U.S. than China did. This was a big change. In 2023, the U.S. bought $475 billion worth of goods from Mexico. This was about $20 billion more than the year before. During the same year, the U.S. bought $427 billion worth of goods from China. This was $110 billion less than the year before. The amount of goods coming from Mexico is still growing in the first 8 months of 2024. U.S. imports from Mexico reached $334 billion. This was 5.8% higher than the same time in 2023. One big reason for this change is trade problems between the U.S. and China. Chinese companies are now using Mexico to send their products into the U.S. This helps them avoid special taxes called tariffs. Jordan Duarte, who leads Redwood, Mexico, said that Chinese companies want to reach the big U.S. market, which is why they come to Mexico. Simon Cohen, president and CEO of Henco, explained their work. We are bringing things from all over the world to Mexico, making them here and then sending them abroad again. Shipping data clearly shows this new path for goods. Zeneta, a company that looks at shipping information, has seen a large increase in containers moving from China to Mexico. For 18 months in a row, the amount of goods on these ships has been very high, higher than ever before. From January to August 2024, the trade in containers from China to Mexico went up by 22%. Compared to the year before, this is after a big jump of 33% in 2023 compared to 2022. At the same time, fewer containers are going directly from China to the U.S. Peter Sand, chief analyst at Zenita, noted that this growing trend into Mexico is very clear. He believes something important is happening and that not all these goods are for Mexican buyers. This means many of them are for the U.S. market. Another data company, VesselBot, also tracks container movement. It reported that Mexico sent the most goods to the U.S. in the months of April, May, and June this year. All this information confirms that a new and important trade route is active through the rules of the game. The way countries trade goods is set by special rules. These rules are part of trade agreements between nations. For many years, the North American Free Trade Agreement, known as NAFTA, was very important. It began in 1994. NAFTA helped to reduce or remove taxes called tariffs on most goods moving between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. This made trade much easier and cheaper for businesses in these countries. Later, a newer agreement came into effect. This was the United States-Mexico Canada agreement called USMCA. It replaced NAFTA 4 years ago. The USMCA continues to help trade flow smoothly between these three nations. Why are these rules so important now? Because of tariffs placed on certain goods. In 2018, the U.S. government under President Donald Trump started a trade dispute with China. This led to many tariffs being placed on goods coming directly from China to the United States. These tariffs made Chinese products more expensive for American buyers. Chinese companies needed a way to avoid these higher taxes. They found an answer in Mexico and the USMCA agreement. If a company brings its goods or parts to Mexico and then does something important to them there, the rules for trade can change. This is where a key rule called substantial transformation becomes important. This rule means that a product must change a lot in Mexico. It has to become a different kind of product. For example, if a company brings raw wooden boards from China to Mexico and then builds complete desks from those boards in a Mexican factory, the product has been substantially transformed. It is no longer just wooden boards. It is now a desk. When this transformation happens, the product's origin changes. It is no longer considered a made-in-China product. Instead, it legally becomes a made-in-Mexico product. Because it is made in Mexico, it can then be sent to the United States without facing the high tariffs meant for Chinese goods. This strategy is completely legal under the current USMCA rules. Mexican factories can use parts from China, but as long as they transform them enough, the final product is seen as Mexican. This helps Chinese companies reach the U.S. market more easily and cheaply. For China makes its move. China is making big moves in Mexico. The country is putting a lot of money directly into Mexican businesses. For example, in 2023, Chinese companies invested about $3.7 billion there. This amount is much higher than what they invested in previous decades. Before, the average was around $1.3 billion each year. This significant increase shows a clear and growing interest from China in Mexico. One important sign of this investment is the growth of Chinese industrial parks. The Hafu is an industrial park located about 25 miles north of Monterey, is a good example. This large park is now home to at least 30 Chinese companies. These parks provide the necessary space and facilities for many factories and businesses to operate efficiently. Chinese car companies are also a big part of this trend. In just the last 3 years, 9 different Chinese car manufacturers have opened operations in Mexico. Well-known companies like BYD and Chery are among those setting up new factories and production lines in the country. They are focusing on making vehicles right there in Mexico. This business strategy has changed over time. When Chinese companies first came to Mexico, they often brought finished goods, products that were already complete. Their main goal was then to simply send these items to the U.S. However, their approach has now evolved. Today, they prefer to bring raw materials and different component parts to Mexico. Then they assemble or manufacture the final products there. This shift is very important because of specific trade rules. The United States placed tariffs, which are extra taxes, on many goods coming from China. These tariffs began in 2018, when the then-President Donald Trump started a trade war with China by making products in Mexico. These companies can often avoid those higher U.S. tariffs. This allows their products to be sold at a lower cost to American buyers, making them more competitive. China sees Mexico as a strategic gateway to reach the large American consumer market, effectively 5 more than just China. The trend of companies moving their operations to Mexico goes beyond just China. It is part of a bigger global change known as nearshoring. This means businesses are choosing to set up factories and production lines closer to their main markets. For many, the United States market is a goal, and Mexico is the closest choice. This move is not only because of past trade rules, but also for other strong reasons. Many companies from Europe are now looking at Mexico. They see the benefits and are building new manufacturing plants there. This shows that the shift is widespread. For example, big European names like Pirelli, a well-known tire maker, and SKF, a Swedish company that produces vehicle parts, are investing in Mexico. They are changing where they make their products, often moving away from Asia. Experts like Simon Cohen from Henco say that businesses are arriving from all over the world. Asia, Europe, South America, and even Africa. Their aim is to build facilities in Mexico to get their products into the large United States market easily. Mexico offers clear advantages that attract these global companies. One key benefit is the cost of labor. It is often less expensive to employ workers in Mexico compared to China, which helps companies keep their production costs down. However, Mexico's most important advantage is its close location to the United States. The two countries share a very long border, stretching about 2,000 miles. Along this border, there are 47 places where goods can cross from Mexico into the U.S. This closeness makes shipping goods fast and simple. Products do not need to travel long distances across oceans, which saves a lot of time and money. This strategic spot makes Mexico an appealing place for all kinds of international companies. They can make their goods in Mexico and then quickly send them to customers in the U.S., making Mexico a shared factory floor for many global industries. 6A shared factory, the United States and Mexico have a very close economic relationship. Many companies in both countries work together to make products. This is like having a large shared factory. They do not just trade finished goods. Instead, parts and materials often move across the border many times during production. Imagine a car being built. Parts from the U.S. go to Mexico for assembly. Then partly finished products might come back to the U.S. for more work. This cycle can happen several times. For example, cars built in North America can cross the border up to 8 times while they are being made. This shows how deeply connected the factories are. Because of this unique system, a lot of the money spent by U.S. consumers on goods from Mexico actually goes back to U.S. companies and workers. About 40% of the value of product imported from Mexico is made from U.S. content. This is different from importing goods from countries farther away, where less of the money returns to the U.S. economy. Mexico's factories have also changed a lot over the years. 30 or 40 years ago, Mexico mostly made simple products like T-shirts or tequila. But now Mexico produces much more advanced goods. These include sophisticated items like engines for airplanes, parts of the aerospace industry, and many types of automotive parts. They also make electric vehicles. Each year, Mexico produces about 3.5 million vehicles. A big part of these, around 76%, are sent to the U.S. market. The main types of goods traded between Mexico and the U.S. today are vehicles, computer-related machines, and other electrical machines. This shows Mexico's important role in making high-tech products that the U.S. needs. 7 problems on the road. The path for trade between Mexico and the U.S. is strong, but problems exist. These problems can make the journey harder. One big worry is new tariffs. Tariffs are extra taxes on goods. Political tensions can lead to these tariffs, making products more expensive for buyers. For example, Tesla, a big car company, wanted to build a large factory in Monterrey, Mexico. They planned to invest $5 billion. But then former President Donald Trump said he might put a very high tariff, 100%, on cars made in Mexico. Because of this, Tesla stopped its factory plans. This shows how political decisions can quickly change trade plans and investments. Jordan Duart, a trade expert, warned about this risk. He said if the U.S. places tariffs on Chinese goods that come through Mexico, it will badly affect companies. These companies use Mexico to avoid existing U.S. tariffs. Such actions could greatly slow down this growing trade. Another important point is the USMCA agreement. This is a major trade rule book for the United States, Mexico, and Canada. It started 4 years ago. This agreement will be reviewed in 2026. When leaders from the 3 countries meet to review it, a main topic will surely be trade with China. The rules might change, creating new challenges for businesses. Besides tariffs and politics, other local issues make trade difficult. Security is one problem, keeping goods and workers safe. Also, there can be a shortage of skilled workers needed in modern factories. Water is a growing concern because factories use a lot, and some areas in Mexico do not have enough. Mexico's own economic policies can also challenge foreign companies wanting to invest and operate there. All these things are like roadblocks on the road of trade between these two close neighbors. Businesses need to understand them. The strong trade ties between the U.S. and Mexico are very important, but they need smart planning to keep growing forward. The border boom, the border between the United States and Mexico, is now seeing a huge increase in activity. This is because many goods are moving between the two countries. For the first time in over 2 decades, Mexico has sent more goods to the U.S. than China has. This change has led to a massive boom in logistics at the border. Logistics companies, which help move products, are investing a lot of money to support this trade. Big companies like Maersk, DHL, Uber Freight, and even the railroad company CPKC are putting billions of dollars into new buildings and systems. They are making sure goods can cross the border easily and quickly. Companies are buying up land in places like Texas to secure space for warehouses, a trend that is called a wild, wild west situation due to its fast growth. For example, Maersk opened a very large warehouse near the Mexican border in El Paso, Texas. This new building has many doors for trucks and a lot of space for vehicles. It is only 2 miles from the Isleta International Bridge, which helps Mexican truck drivers drop off goods and return quickly. This location is very important for fast trade, especially with U.S. Customs and Border Protection working to manage the flow of goods. DHL, another large logistics company, has been investing in Mexico for many years. Starting in 1985, their facilities now handle thousands of packages every single day, showing how much trade has grown over time. Uber Freight also plays a big part. Laredo, Texas is a main place for border crossings, and Uber Freight has a large presence there. They manage trade worth billions of dollars each month. They have 7 big warehouses in Laredo, with over 1.5 million square feet of storage space for products moving across the border. Every day, thousands of trucks and trailers cross the border going both north and south, showing the large scale of the trade. Railroads are also growing. CPKC is building a new railroad bridge in Laredo, Texas. This bridge will help handle even more container traffic. It will work alongside an old bridge and should be ready by late 2024. CPKC has also started a new train service. This service connects major U.S. cities like Chicago and Kansas City directly to Monterrey, Mexico. This makes it easier to move goods by train over long distances. These large investments show a very positive view of the future for trade between the United States and Mexico. Experts believe that Mexico's manufacturing exports to the U.S. could reach an even higher value, possibly $609 billion, by the year 2028. Many foreign companies, including those from China, have invested billions of dollars in Mexico. This money is building new factories. These factories will make more finished goods that are planned to be sent to the United States. This means the future of U.S.-Mexico trade looks very strong. What kind of new products do you think will become popular from Mexico in the coming years? Hey there, just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the story. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a new story. Have a wonderful day. Take care and see